All right, former FBI Director James Comey and his lawyers in a federal courtroom today in Alexandria, Virginia, arguing that those charges be tossed. Their argument is this: the charges, they say, are based on vindictive and selective prosecution. Comey faces federal charges of false statements to Congress and obstruction of justice. CBS News Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane joins us now from Washington. Okay, so what are you learning from the hearing?
The judge did not make a decision as to whether to dismiss this case today, Reed, but the judge took under advisement a whole series of arguments and raised a red flag of his own. First, the arguments he heard today over whether this was a vindictive, selective prosecution and should be dismissed accordingly. James Comey's defense team in court filings before today and then again in court in Virginia today argued that the motivation for this prosecution is not a violation of the law, but that James Comey is a critic and has been a vocal critic of President Trump, and that this is a politically motivated, vindictive prosecution to silence not only Comey, but silence other criticism of the president. They pointed today to that September social media post from President Trump on that Truth Social platform in which he said to Pam, Attorney General Pam Bondi, that he'd like to see prosecutions of, among other people, James Comey. The Department of Justice countered that argument, saying there's not evidence of a vindictive prosecution. This could be grounds for dismissal, just not going to happen today. The judge will take some time to review the matter. But the judge also had some concerns outside of that argument. The judge is increasingly expressing concern about what happened in the grand jury room when the grand jury handed up this 2-count indictment of false statements against James Comey. The judge said the record seems to indicate there were 2 different charging documents in this case, one of which had a count that was disapproved by the grand jury, one of which didn't. Under questioning from the judge today, the Department of Justice acknowledged that second charging document, the one that eliminated the first count, never went to the full grand jury for review. The defense pounced on that, saying that would be reason for dismissal. You can't have indictments that don't have the grand jury laying eyes on them. Judge didn't rule on that either, but Reed, that's an enormous issue, potentially plaguing fatally this case.
Wow. Okay, so any word, Scott, on when a ruling could happen on either of those points?
Oh, wouldn't we love to know? We love to ask that question. In the legal system, in the judicial system, it happens when it happens. And respectfully, in this case, there's so many different variables, so many different arguments. We're not sure when any of these rulings are coming down, but the defense has a right to a speedy trial and expediency in his case. We don't expect this to take months, but it could take anywhere from a few days to a few weeks.
All right, so we'll cue the word forthcoming. Scott MacFarlane, thank you so much. Always good to talk to you.